I come here because all my friends are here, and I didn't wish to be a burden to my family. You see, my wife of 50 glorious years has recently passed. Not wishing to be a burden on my kids, I thought it best to saunter off to what they politely call an assisted living facility. It's not that bad, honestly. They have our meds ready and prepared for us, meals that, while nowhere close to my wife's cooking, never pose a problem to keep down. The only issue is, well, it feels like this place just sucks the life out of you. One day you notice one less person you played cards with is no longer there anymore. One day they are there, the next, no longer among us. I feel so tired. Not bodily, mind you, but in my soul. I've learned something here, something dreadful. What kills someone in this place isn't sickness. It's the monotonous march to our passing. I miss my wife, I miss my friends. Someday soon, I know I will rejoin them, and I look forward to that reunion. I'm not scared, I just feel so tired. Maybe I'll take a rest and see them all again in my dreams. But as days blend into nights, the air around me thickens with whispers of the past. It starts subtly, a shadow flickering at the edge of my vision, disappearing when I turn to look. The hallways, long and sterile, echo with the sound of footsteps that belong to no one. At night, the silence is broken by the soft, almost imperceptible murmur of names, including those of friends long gone. I notice patterns, unsettling coincidences that nag at the fringes of my mind. The friends who fade away one after another all shared something, a hobby group perhaps, or a weekly card game that I never joined. The staff smiles, their eyes glossing over any question too probing, their reassurances as empty as the chairs that increasingly dot our dining hall. The realization dawns on me slowly, a creeping horror that tightens its grip with each passing day. This facility, with its manicured lawns and softly lit corridors, harbors a secret far more sinister than mere negligence. Whispers among the more lucid residents speak of a pact, a chosen few, who believe in hastening their journey to reunite with lost loves. They speak in hushed tones of a ritual performed under the veil of night in the facility's forgotten wing. My skepticism wanes as the inexplicable becomes commonplace. The sound of ticking clocks grows louder, a relentless reminder of the time slipping through our fingers. One evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows through my window, I hear it. A faint melody, haunting and familiar like a lullaby from a half-remembered dream. It beckons me, pulling at the threads of my resolve, urging me to uncover the truth. Armed with nothing but a sliver of hope and a yearning to see my beloved once more, I venture into the night. The forgotten wing of the facility looms ahead, its door ajar, as if waiting for me. Inside, the air is thick with anticipation, and the shadows dance to the rhythm of my racing heart. And then I see it, a glimmer of light, flickering in the darkness. I follow it, drawn by a force I can no longer resist. The light grows brighter, revealing a room that should not exist, a place out of time where the veil between worlds is thin. The names of those who've passed whisper in the air, a chorus of the lost calling me forward. I stand at the threshold, the light enveloping me, warmth spreading through my veins. A figure emerges from the brilliance, features blurred yet achingly familiar. My heart knows before my mind can catch up. It's her, my wife smiling, her hand outstretched. The fear that once clutched at my heart dissolves into peace. The mystery of the facility, the sinister undertones of its existence, fade away in the light of our reunion. I understand now, the assisted living facility wasn't just a place to wait for the end. It was a place where the end could be a beginning. As I step forward, leaving behind the shadows of mortality, I realize that this story, our story, doesn't end in horror. It ends in hope, in the promise of finding each other again, beyond the confines of life and death. I'm not tired anymore.
In the quiet, semi-darkness of my room at the Iowa nursing home, I sit by the window, watching the world move without me. My name is Mary, and this place, with its sterile walls and distant echoes, is my world now. Once filled with the laughter of grandchildren and the warmth of my daughter's embrace, My life has narrowed to this small, increasingly silent space. Days and nights blend together, marked only by the brief visits of nurses and the distant sound of other residents, each of us isolated in our own way. The care, once attentive, has grown sporadic, indifferent. I feel the change, not just in the air, but in the very essence of how I am treated. Water, a necessity so basic it should never be a concern, becomes a luxury I find myself begging for. My throat. Please, I need some water, I whisper to a nurse who hurries by, her eyes fixed on the chart in her hands. She nods, a non-committal gesture, and disappears. The water never comes. My throat aches with dryness, my lips crack, and I am left alone. The plea for something as simple as a drink of water left hanging in the sterile air. The neglect tightens around me like a vice. Each call button press, each moan of discomfort seems to fade into the void, unanswered. My body, once strong and resilient, now betrays me, succumbing to the neglect that has become my daily reality. One night, the pain intensifies, a stark herald of something gone terribly wrong. I moan, louder now, a sound of suffering that echoes off the uncaring walls. In the haze of pain and confusion, I am suddenly transported. The wail of an ambulance siren, the blur of faces, and then the stark, bright lights of the emergency room. A doctor's voice cuts through the fog.
Severe dehydration, possibly a stroke. She's been without fluids for days.
The words hit me like a physical blow. Days without water. How could this happen? I lie there, caught between worlds, the voices of the medical staff a distant hum. My thoughts drift to my daughter, to the life I once lived, to the moments of joy that seem as distant now as the stars. Tears that I can no longer shed burn behind my eyes. I mourn not just for myself, but for the trust I placed in a system that was supposed to care for me in my final years. As my consciousness fades, I find myself in a place of in-between, where the pain of the physical world cannot reach me. From this vantage point, I see the threads of my life, woven with love, loss, and now neglect. My heart aches with the weight of unspoken words, of goodbyes never said. In my final moments, I don't seek vengeance or harbor bitterness. Instead, I wish for my story to be a beacon, a call to awareness and change. May no one else endure the neglect that was my final companion. The story ends, but the silence that follows is heavy with meaning. My daughter's voice takes up the mantle, her words a testament to the fight she now leads.
For my mother, and for all those like her, I will fight for dignity, for care, for the respect every human being deserves at every stage of life.